Hi, I'm Michaela Schick, and we are going to talk about some of the barriers to using technology or to using Web 2.0 in the classroom. So first I'm going to summarize the issues that were presented in the 4 articles that we read for this module. So I categorized the issues into 4 different categories: teachers, school, district, and systemic. So some of the issues are changing rules that teachers are facing in the 21st century, and the roles of being more student-centered, using more technology, being more innovative, makes a lot of people uncomfortable. Teachers also face a lack of time in class to accomplish these technology goals and a lack of time to plan them outside of class. They also face a lack of training. A lot of teachers feel that they don't have the skills to use technology and thus are unwilling to use them in their classroom. School issues include a lack of administrator support. So some principals are not very supportive of teachers using technology and feel that they should be using their time doing other things. School cultures also kind of get in the way of technology use, so sometimes there's not enough resources in a school for everyone, or they're not divided in an equitable way. Sometimes also just it's not a priority for the school, which kind of hits on a lack of vision. So some schools don't really have a goal for technology use. They don't have a way that they're trying to improve in this area. There are also district issues with using technology, so sometimes support staff have been cut by budget cuts, and so there's no one there to fix things when they break, or to help you get through those sorts of challenges as a teacher. And so teachers shy away from using technology because it might break and it might not work. Scaling innovations is also difficult. So just because something works for one teacher really well doesn't necessarily mean it's going to work for everyone in the exact same way. And it's hard to find projects that really work for everyone. Funding is obviously an issue. We've talked about that a lot so far throughout this course. And it's hard for districts, to keep up with all the funding challenges that technology brings. There's also infrastructure challenges. Setting up a entire district with web access, tech support, teacher training, and the physical technology itself is really, really difficult. It requires a lot of setup on behalf of the district, and it's a big challenge. Finally, there's systemic problems that are facing the whole nation or even the whole world currently. So we have the achievement gap. We have some students who know how to use technology really well and some who don't, which that kind of stems from the digital divide, where some students have access to technology and others don't. There's also students beyond just access. There's also whether students are using it passively or actively. Whether students are using just to download a video or send a text message, or are they interacting and posting and researching? Are they being a lot more active in terms of their use? And then finally, the curriculum in our current state of education is really changing. We're going from a rigid and kind of boxy curriculum to being more outside the box and being open and open-ended. And sometimes that makes teachers, parents, administrators, students themselves really uncomfortable. So I see a lot of these technology problems every single day when it comes to integration. Some of the most impactful for me have been just a lack of time in my class to accomplish these tasks and a lack of training amongst my staff and I, just from not really knowing exactly what to do in terms of integrating technology. A school culture that doesn't necessarily focus on technology. Usually we're focusing on just literacy, not digital literacy. We're focusing on, are kids reading on grade level? Are they writing on grade level? Those sorts of ideas. And then an achievement gap. So I work in a pretty high poverty school, so my students definitely are on the wrong side of the digital divide at home, and they don't have technology class at school. So a lot of them really struggle in terms of using technology. So my responses to the different questions. Can we close the digital divide? So I hit on what the digital divide was already, just about students who have different access or different experiences with technology. And I do believe that it can be solved. I am an optimist when it comes to social problems, and I believe that they can be solved. However, I don't think schools can be the only person working towards this goal. Just because a school is working towards it doesn't mean we're going to fix the problems that we're seeing in homes in terms of technology use. Many groups, policymakers, nonprofits, schools, teachers, parents, students, everybody's going to have to work together in order to bring this issue to a close. We're going to have internet companies who are willing to go to rural areas and bring broadband access to those areas. We're going to have parents who want to use technology in their home and are using it actively with their students. We're going to have schools who are being innovative. Everything is going to have to be working together for us to solve this problem. Schools can help, like I said, by using technology in active and creative and innovative ways with students. So what skill sets do students need in the 21st century? So I kind of divided this into soft skills and hard skills. We have soft skills, which can easily be cultivated through the use of technology and other innovative teaching practices. We have creativity, collaboration, communication, problem solving, leadership, and personal responsibility or ambition. I kind of looked at that as like a student wanting to learn and wanting to go farther in their learning. That's kind of what I was hoping to convey with that last one there. I put a caveat on creativity and collaboration that they both needed to be with and without technology. So students need to be creative in their technology use, but they need to be creative outside of that as well. In communication, students need to be able to use communication in technology. They need to be able to email and use social media and all those different platforms, but they also need to be able to talk face-to-face with someone or give a presentation to a group. Then we also, of course, have our hard skills that we've always had students have a need for. So we have STEM skills. Students obviously still need science and math. They also now need to be more aware of the world around them because we are in such a connected society. They also need to be able to read to learn new things and write in a professional way that impresses their coworkers, their bosses, and the clients that they will eventually serve in their jobs. So the impact of the global economy on my internet use. So I think that the global economy has created a need for us all to use the internet more. We are regularly either shopping from or communicating with people and companies who are across the globe. The way I think of this is usually like ordering something off the internet from a different country. So it requires the internet, obviously, requires a knowledge of how to use that technology, how to get on Amazon or get on different marketplaces and find what you need. And then also global awareness to know that if I order something from China, it won't be here tomorrow. It will be here maybe in 2 weeks or 3 weeks. Just sort of that kind of awareness to know where things are coming from. So I said that students of today are going to interact with this world tomorrow. So we need to make sure that they are also prepared for this technology use, but also this global awareness piece, which is something that I listed in the hard skills that they will need for the future. So my personal technology training needs. I need more programs to teach me about how to creatively use technology, how to get beyond the Google Classroom and the Google Docs and get into animation and video making, but things that 10-year-olds can actually do. That's my usual struggle as a teacher is how can a 10-year-old do this? I also need to know how to promote technology with families and help my families become more digitally literate and know how to, my kid loves YouTube. How can we use that to help them succeed in school at home? How to help them use that at home to succeed in school. Also using websites and social media to communicate with my class in a professional way and to communicate information to the families as well. And then finally, programs that I've seen in other districts where students can do their entire math curriculum online and at their own pace. I think those are interesting and I would like to know a lot more about them and how they work for different students. So I would consider my school and district very well equipped when it comes to technology. We have a 1-to-1 technology ratio for all students, K through 12 in the entire district. So I have Chromebooks in my classroom and as a 5th grade teacher, but I also have iPads that are accessible because they have them in the K through 3 grade levels. So if I wanted to use iPads, I definitely could borrow those. I also have a projector, a document camera, and a smartboard screen. My smartboard does not work because the district stopped providing the software to make them work, but it still works as a projector screen. Problems, like I said, technology support staff and resources. So sometimes things don't get fixed or they don't get fixed in a timely manner, which is very frustrating as a teacher. Staff training, we don't do a lot of staff training on technology. No one trained me in how to use the document camera or anything like that. Luckily, I was able to figure it out, but still I think we should be training staff on that. Adding applications to the iPads, we're not allowed to add them as teachers. The district has to, but they very rarely complete the requests that we put in to add things. So it's very hard as a teacher to be innovative when your district is kind of holding you back in some ways. And then a lack of vision in our district about where are we going with this technology. We have it, but how are we supposed to be using it? So there are a lot of advantages to innovation, I would say. So for one, we provide students with preparation for their future lives. That's the point of school as a whole, and we need that. Having students sit in desks and take Scantron quizzes and listen to a teacher and write down everything they say all day does not help our students, and we need to move away from that. I also said that students learn better and remember the projects better and remember what they learned better if it's hands-on. If they're completing a science experiment, they're much more likely to remember what they learned than if they're just reading out of a book. It develops the soft skills like collaboration and communication, problem solving in students when they're forced to use inquiry and forced to be in charge of their own learning. It's also more fun and interesting. I think almost every student I have would probably rather get up and do some sort of project than sit down and do a worksheet all day. And it allows for tailoring to the needs of students. So definitely you can use technology for students who have communication needs or hearing needs, but also, like I was saying, sometimes you can use it to allow some students to progress at a faster pace and some students to review more concepts at a slower pace if that is what they need. There are also some disadvantages. For one, it's time consuming. It takes up a lot of class time to complete projects, and it also takes up a lot of class time to plan time, to come up with these ideas. Obviously, if I want to hand a student a worksheet, that takes me very little time to plan. If I want to create a project with a rubric and I need to think about how they're going to use technology and pre-research some possible websites to give them and collect all these different materials for a science experiment, that takes a lot more time. A lack of teacher skills in technology, which I kind of already talked about, and a lack of student skills, which again hits on that digital divide or achievement gap. There are some funding challenges, obviously, with districts, which we've also kind of covered at length during this presentation. It's hard for districts to keep up with the funding challenges. Some students sometimes don't make the intended connections that we want them to make in innovative learning. So I've had that happen before where we go through all of a project and I say, what did you learn? And they didn't make the connection that I was hoping that they would make from the project, which is frustrating, of course, but it happens sometimes. There's also sometimes lack of support from parents. Parents don't understand why you're doing different things. From the students themselves, sometimes they just would rather be a little bit lazy and do the worksheet. From your coworkers, your school, your district, a lot of people can definitely question the things that you are doing when it comes to innovative learning. So inappropriate internet use among students. I had a huge problem with this last year with kids making kind of bullying or threatening remarks on social media. So issues outside of school can carry over into school, which is a negative consequence of technology. And then Snapchat, which my students all love to use, if it's a video, deletes that evidence immediately, so you can't even really prove that a student said something or did not say something. Off-task in class, so if students are not doing what they're supposed to be doing, they're messing around on watching YouTube videos when they're supposed to be researching whatever their research topic is. You also have fluke occurrences sometimes with technology where something inappropriate will pop up when you're trying to show a completely appropriate video, which is always kind of a fear of mine as a teacher, and then just through advertisements or something like that. And then obviously there's also research struggles for my students, which isn't necessarily inappropriate, but it's definitely a challenge, determining whether sources are biased, and then also just copy and pasting straight off the internet. Plagiarism. So that is my presentation. Thank you so much for watching.